My name is Alex Harper. 34 years old, senior software engineer at a Seattle-based tech giant. 6-figure salary, stock options, the whole package. But the burnout was real. Endless sprints, on-call rotations, the constant pressure to ship features nobody would remember in a year. My wife Emily, 32, freelance interior designer, felt it too. We were childless by choice so far, but lately we'd started talking about trying. We needed space. Real space. In September 2024 we found the listing on a niche real estate site, a 1892 Queen and Victorian in the Hudson Valley, upstate New York. 6 bedrooms, 4 baths, 10 acres of mixed forest and meadow. Wraparound porch, turret, original stained glass, carriage house. Asking price, $289,000. In that market, it should have been triple that. The photos were stunning. Sun-dappled rooms, intricate woodwork, a grand staircase that curved like something out of a fairy tale. The realtor, a cheerful woman named Karen, explained the low price with a practiced shrug. Estate sale. Distant heirs just want it gone. Needs cosmetic work, but the bones are solid. We flew out for a weekend, toured the house on a crisp autumn afternoon. It smelled of old wood and faint lavender. Sunlight poured through tall windows. The silence was absolute, no highway hum, no neighbors. We made an offer that night. Closed in November. We named her Whitmore House, after the brass plate still bolted to the front door, E. Whitmore, 1892. Moving day was November 15th. A light snow dusted the long gravel drive. Inside, the house felt bigger than the photos suggested. High ceilings, pocket doors, 5 fireplaces. The basement ran the full footprint, stone walls, low beams, and ancient coal chutes still in place. The attic was a cavern of sloping roofs and dormers, stuffed with trunks and furniture under decades of dust. Emily fell in love immediately. She spent weeks sketching renovation plans, restore the parquet floors, strip layers of paint from the moldings, turn the third-floor turret room into a nursery someday. I set up my office in the former library on the second floor. Dark walnut paneling, built-in shelves, a massive window overlooking the back meadow. Perfect for deep focus coding. The locals in the nearby town of Cold Hollow, population 1,400, were friendly but guarded. At the diner we heard fragments of the house's history. Built by Elias Whitmore, a wealthy mill owner, for his young bride Clara. They had one child, Lillian, born 1915. Clara died in childbirth with a second baby in 1922. A year later, on December 14, 1923, 8-year-old Lillian vanished during a snowstorm. Search parties combed the woods for weeks. Tracks led toward the frozen creek behind the property, then simply stopped. No body ever found. People said Elias went mad with grief. He locked himself in the house until he died in 1927, heart failure, officially. After that, the house changed hands repeatedly. No family ever stayed longer than 5 years. Some left in the middle of the night. We smiled politely. Old tragedies make good small-town stories. We were city people. We didn't believe in ghosts. The first oddity was the temperature. Certain rooms, especially the upstairs hallway and the nursery at the end of it, were always 10 degrees colder than the rest of the house, no matter how high we cranked the new furnace. Then came the sounds. Soft footsteps overhead when we were both downstairs. A child's giggle drifting down the staircase late at night. I'd get up, check every room, find nothing. Emily started leaving her phone recording audio while we slept. Playback revealed faint whispers, too soft to make out words. In the attic we discovered boxes of Whitmore family items the heirs hadn't wanted, yellowed letters, sepia photographs, children's clothing carefully folded. And the doll. Porcelain, about 18 inches tall. Bisque head, real human hair, blonde curls, glass eyes the color of winter sky. The dress was white cotton, yellowed with age, trimmed in faded lace. One cheek had a hairline crack. Its painted smile was sweet, but the eyes, they seemed to follow movement. Emily, who collects vintage things, declared it perfectly creepy in the best way. and placed it on the mantel in the unused nursery. That night I dreamed of a little girl in a white dress standing at the foot of our bed, holding the doll. She didn't speak, just stared. I woke gasping at 2:17 a.m. exactly. The digital clock glowed red. Emily was deeply asleep. I checked the nursery. The doll sat exactly where she'd left it. But its head was turned toward the door, as if watching for someone to enter. Snow came early and heavy. The long driveway became a challenge. We bought a used Jeep to handle it. Internet was satellite only, slow and unreliable. Isolation settled in like another inhabitant. Emily's nightmares began. She'd wake crying, saying a cold little hand had tugged her hair, begging her to come play outside. She started sleeping with the lights on. I remained the skeptic, but even I couldn't explain everything. Doors we closed at night were found open in the morning. The nursery rocking chair, empty when we went to bed, would be gently moving when we passed in the dark. Once, I found tiny wet footprints on the kitchen tile leading from the basement door, though no snow had been tracked in. We installed 8 security cameras, indoor and outdoor, motion-activated cloud storage. The footage showed nothing unusual during the day. At night, sometimes orbs of light drifted across rooms. Once, in the upstairs hallway at 2:16 a.m., a small shadow darted out of frame too quickly to be an animal. Emily spent hours researching. She found digitized newspaper clippings about Lillian's disappearance. One photo showed the child standing on the front porch in a white dress, holding that exact doll. The caption read, "Lillian Whitmore, age 8, photographed 1 month before her tragic disappearance." Another article, from 1958, described a family who lived in our house briefly. Their 6-year-old daughter claimed to play daily with Lily in the walls. The child once woke with frostbite on her bare feet after being found outside in January wearing only a nightgown. The family fled the next day. Thanksgiving weekend we invited my sister Laura and her husband Mark to visit, hoping company would break the tension. They arrived Friday evening. Laura took an instant dislike to the doll. "That thing is straight out of a horror movie," she said. We laughed and moved it to a closet. That night, at precisely 2:17 a.m., Laura screamed. We found her sitting bolt upright, clutching the blankets. "Something ice-cold touched my face," she whispered. And a little girl was crying, saying she was lost in the snow. Mark wanted to leave immediately, but a blizzard had closed the roads. They stayed one more night, sleeping with every light on. Saturday morning they dug out and drove away. Laura hasn't spoken to us since. After they left, Emily's mood darkened. She stopped working on renovation plans. She'd sit for hours in the nursery rocking chair, staring at the wall, murmuring softly. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd blink and say, "No one." I started sleeping poorly. Every night around 2 a.m. I'd wake freezing, heart pounding. The bedroom door would be open a crack, though we always closed it. Sometimes I'd hear small bare feet pattering away down the hall. By early December we were barely speaking. Emily became convinced Lillian wanted something from her, something only a mother could give. She began leaving out saucers of milk and cookies for the little girl. She'd disappear for hours into the basement or attic and return pale and silent. I threw myself into work, coding until exhaustion, trying to pretend everything was fine. One evening I came upstairs to find Emily in the nursery, cradling the doll like a baby, singing a lullaby I'd never heard. Her eyes were vacant. Frost coated the inside of the window though the room was heated. "Em, put that down. Come eat something." She looked up slowly. "She's so cold, Alex. She just wants to be warm again." That night I hid the doll in the basement, wrapped in a trash bag and buried under boxes. At 2:17 a.m. I woke to Emily screaming my name from the nursery. I ran upstairs. She stood in the center of the room, arms outstretched as if holding something heavy. Her nightgown was soaked at the hem, as though she'd been standing in snow. The doll sat on the rocking chair, unwrapped, staring. "She brought it back," Emily sobbed. "She says if we don't play with her, she'll take me instead." The anniversary. The forecast called for the worst blizzard in decades. Power flickered all day. By nightfall we were snowed in, wind howling like a living thing. We argued bitterly. Emily wanted to perform some kind of release ritual she'd found online, candles, salt circle, speaking Lillian's name to give her peace. I called it dangerous nonsense. She accused me of abandoning her when she needed me most. We went to bed furious, on opposite sides of the mattress. I woke to the clock reading 2:17 a.m. The room was arctic. My breath hung in clouds. Emily was gone. The bedroom door stood wide open. Down the hall, the nursery door glowed with faint flickering light, candlelight. I grabbed my phone and ran. The nursery was lit by a dozen candles arranged in a circle on the floor. Emily knelt in the center wearing only her white nightgown, arms wrapped around empty air, rocking gently. "She's here," she whispered, voice high and childlike. "She's finally warm." Behind her, in the rocking chair, the doll sat upright. Its cracked cheek had a fresh red streak, like blood. Then I saw the footprints. Tiny bare footprints, wet and rimed with frost, circling Emily on the hardwood floor. They hadn't been there when I entered. Something moved in the corner shadows. A small figure stepped forward. A girl, no more than 8, in a tattered white dress frozen stiff with ice. Skin blue-white, lips purple, blonde hair matted with snow. Her eyes were black pits. In her arms she carried nothing, yet Emily continued to rock as if cradling a child. The girl looked straight at me and opened her mouth. No sound came out, but I heard it in my head anyway, clear, desperate, ancient. "Play with me. Forever." Emily turned her head toward the apparition and smiled a terrible, serene smile. "I'm ready, Lily." The temperature plummeted further. Candles guttered out one by one. I lunged forward, grabbing Emily's arm. Her skin was ice. She fought me, stronger than I'd ever known her, shrieking in 2 voices, her own and a child's. The little girl drifted closer, arms reaching. I dragged Emily backward into the hall, slamming the nursery door. We stumbled down the stairs. I threw clothes into a bag, pulled her into the jeep. The snow was waist deep, wind screaming, but I forced the vehicle down the driveway and onto the unplowed road. We made it to a motel 30 miles away as dawn broke gray and exhausted. 1 year later, December 15th, 2025. We never returned to Whitmore House. Movers retrieved what belongings we asked for. Most things we left behind. We sold the property through a lawyer to an anonymous buyer who plans to turn it into an Airbnb. I hope they have better luck. Emily spent 3 months in a psychiatric facility. Doctors called it acute stress-induced psychosis. She's home now, on medication and therapy. Some days she's almost herself again. But every December, as the anniversary approaches, she grows quiet. She stares out windows at falling snow. Sometimes she hums that same unknown lullaby. Last night, December 14th, 2025, I woke at 2:17 a.m. to find her side of the bed empty. I found her in our spare bedroom, the one we keep dark and unused. She sat in a rocking chair we don't own, rocking slowly, arms cradling empty air. Smiling. And on the floor around her, in perfect circles, were tiny wet footprints. Fresh snow melting on hardwood. The house we live in now has no basement. No attic. No nursery. But somewhere, very faintly, I can still hear a child giggling. Waiting. The world is quiet. Until 2:17 a.m.